Wolves up, and welcome to Module 7 of Action Research. Go Red Wolves. Thought I would make the plug for October 17th. That's a Thursday. Louisiana Lafayette will be at A-State. That's a Thursday night game. It'll be on ESPNU. So honestly, no matter where you are in the country, what better thing could you do on a Thursday night than invite friends and family over, have ESPNU on, and cheer on your Red Wolves? How much fun would that be? So welcome to the final module. You did it. Can you believe it? I feel like this course flew by. I don't know why I feel that way. It feels like Action Research feels like it blasts by compared to Practicum 2 and Diverse Learners and New Literacies. It's something about I don't know, maybe I put a little too much energy into research methodology. Who knows? But it flies by. So here you are in Module 7 with an action research proposal, 5 sections of it done, an abstract done, and ready for hopefully maybe something in the spring, and your poster under development for submission this week. So regarding the poster peer responses and deadlines, right? Wednesday, October 2nd, end of day, is our adjusted deadline for the Module 7 reading response. That is because Friday, October 4th, at the end of the day, is when the final peer response is due, as well as any late discussion posts that you may have forgotten to post. And as always, that Friday deadline is set as late as possible in the AOS calendar at the end of day to give you as much time as possible to work on your stuff. The Action Research poster, there is also a Friday, October 4th deadline at the end of the day, as has been noted in the course calendar, again due to the AOS schedule. It is not possible to hand in the Action Research proposal poster late due to the end of the calendar. Extenuating medical circumstances. There might be something I can do, but we are very tight against the grading deadline. There's even a very limited window for filing incomplete paperwork as well. So make sure you're staying on top of the deadline. If you think that anything is coming, document those extenuating circumstances. Make sure you get that poster started shortly as well if you haven't already. Push yourself, right? I have an additional video this week to support your production of that poster. The use of the rather large PowerPoint template slide that I have, and some further thoughts on how to inject your material into it. But please make sure you're reaching out this week by email with your questions about the poster. Full confidence submission before the deadline is always the goal. Once submitted, please be patient with us as we get these graded, because they are somewhat different than what we're used to reading, right? Instead of just scrolling up and down, right and left, and we're zooming in and out. It's actually super fun, but it's just very different than looking at a standard Word file. But please don't forget that with this, right, this is one of the most important steps. You need to do a save as and render that giant 36 by 24 inch PowerPoint slide as a PDF file. That's what you will submit on Blackboard. It's the only time you'll ever submit a PDF file with me. However, doing so makes it not only easier to pass through the Blackboard portal than a PowerPoint file, but that resolution is also in place, and it's rendered just right for the poster printer if it ever needs to go to a poster printer. Okay, let's jump into our Chapter 7 content. So given that this is our final module, I wanted to make sure that we don't forget to devote time to thinking very clearly about the action in action research proposals or action research itself. I thought it best to focus on that theme from the chapter and then draw out some of the sections and then offer sort of some take-home advice with each of those that I think will really help lock in an appreciation for why the action in action research may very well be the most important part of all of this, the most important thing to remember in all of this. And also, there is a lot that you can actually do with action research from even your own classroom. That's what's so wonderful about it. Okay, so the first action, taking action, engaging passions. For page 148 of the text, education is a wonderfully multifaceted activity requiring carefully structured and skillfully implemented programs of learning to provide for the complex needs of students. And a key feature of this process is the need to ensure that the primary stakeholders are centrally involved in the process. Again, that's page 148. Action research, so my take-home message for you is that action research is a complex process for both it's a complex process both for the stakeholders and also because of the stakeholders, because very often those stakeholders who are centrally involved in the process are the kiddos and the learners in our classrooms. We do the action research for them, and we do it because of them, because they provide us the insight, right? Taking action, solving problems, priorities, pathways, plans, and supervision. Page 149. These points here from the chapter, this is going to actually span, I'm abridging 4 different pages here. So for page 149, research participants need to step back a few paces to scrutinize the information they have acquired. Utilize carefully formulated plans that support the concrete steps needed to accomplish a desired outcome. It's page 149 and page 150. Participants should further review the plan and check for clarity, page 152, and supervise implementation, page 154. The take-home message, as you draw that out and then deconstruct that, stitch it all back together over the course of page 149 to 154, the take-home message is that action research requires a plan, dedication, effort, and fidelity to that plan. Taking action, changes to teaching and learning, from page 154. Action research may be applied to a wide range of teaching learning processes and provide opportunities to acquire systematically into the meanings embedded in state or district curriculum standards, extending understanding of the broader purposes and possibilities for student learning. The take-home message here, I think, is that action research can apply in many ways and it can make a difference. Taking action, larger curricular development, page 160. Page 160. Participatory action research provides an authentic context in which teachers, learners, and other stakeholders develop a shared culture of learning through the collaborative development of common meanings and purposes. Take-home message here, that's page 160. The take-home message here, action research can help satisfy the need of curriculum development for collaboration and perhaps even guard it against the impact of being driven by one voice alone. I think that's great. So when we think about it this way, action research puts us in a mode of thinking, right, when it comes to curricular development and examining changes we made to the curriculum and are they working. It puts us in a collaborative mode by sheer virtue of some of the more constructivist, socially driven, qualitative methods that we might employ. It puts us in a collaborative mode, but that can also guard against the impact of one voice and one person dominating the work. Which I think is very intriguing possibilities there. Taking action, program assessment, and professional development. Action research can also serve a formative purpose in assessment and, from page 164, speak to a broader set of criteria, attempting to understand the more complex processes through which learning takes place, rather than solely measuring or describing student performance on a specific set of learning outcomes. Again, it's page 164. And then further from page 167, action research provides the means for formulating relevant and effective professional development programs. The take-home message here is that action research can supplement and enhance what we know via standardized assessment. Every time. I think we can put action research conclusions side by side with the big test scores every time and either enhance our insight, confirm, validate. We can do a lot there. Taking action, the school and community. Page 170. Action research is particularly effective in situations where students come from culturally diverse families and communities. Ooh, now we're cooking. I love this. The take-home message is, as teachers, we are advocates for our students' identities and diverse backgrounds. Always. We are always advocates for our students' identities and backgrounds, no matter what they are or from where they come. Part of that advocacy means making education better for them. And one of the ways we can make education better for all of our students, no matter where they come from, no matter who they are, is by unlocking new insight in the learning process and in the learning environment, and using that to improve the field of education. And taking action, the big picture. Action research, therefore, may be used at the level of school system, or state educational system as a means for accomplishing large-scale developments. Page 172. I think the take-home message there is the reminder that action research can apply at any level and can support change at any level. Little change within your own classroom in one particular week matters just as much as large-scale change in the state and public policy, as long as we are furthering the field of education. So hopefully that helped draw out a greater power in Chapter 7, because I thought there's a lot of power in Chapter 7, but action, even the word action, suggests energy. But I wanted to make sure we really pulled some power out of this particular chapter. And so I hope you like how those talking points were structured. It's a little bit different approach than I usually do, but I thought that was fun to do. The recommended article this week. I hope you enjoyed this look at some of my own case study work. It's action research in a sense, but more specifically, it's case study. This is something I produced last year as part of my own scholarship, and my hope is that your understanding of this course has grown into something a bit more like this, in proposal form, of course. I tend to prefer forms of teaching, being the constructivist that I am, that move in that type of direction. Build it together rather than just put an example out there to replicate. And I hope you don't feel any pressure that your poster should look like mine. This was something that I sought human subjects approval, IRB board approval. I collected data, I analyzed, I completed the study, but that's part of my job. This will take us in a somewhat different order, actually. So the poster happened first, somewhat by happenstance. I began my study at the start of the spring with an initial interview and a survey data collection. And then during the interim, while I was waiting to be able to do the exit interview, we had a forum on our campus for faculty to share things that they do in their teaching, which appropriately is called Learn at State. And methodologically speaking, I collected enough to analyze. So I throttled up the pace of my analysis, put the nose to it. I got it done, and had a poster to share with the colleagues. As you look over the poster, you'll see the origin literature. I pulled key themes that I believed could serve as a lens for examining my data, for actually coding my data, which is Figure 1. Those were questions, participants, framework, and data collection sections. They all were in a course that you might expect. In my outcomes, I examined the nature of the interview responses. I mapped out the 4 themes from the literature into them to further my triangulation, further digest down the discourse data. I mapped the results of the survey into the mix as well, which is tables 1, 2, and 3 throughout the poster, constantly asking myself, is this anything, for lack of a more methodological term. I was recursively examining the data with new insights in mind. A new insight emerges, and I would return to the beginning and recursively examine that data, which led to my conclusions and my recommendations, and the references are at the end. I knew that I had exit interviews coming, which I did at the time. Which at the time I didn't know if the exit interviews would enhance the conclusions, because the exit interviews came after the poster was done, right? Or possibly turn everything upside down. Scheduling might have even negated the possibility of doing exit interviews. At any rate, poster ended up in this format. Overall, as you can see, multiple tables and figures. I used a figures approach for the analysis and the instruments, and I used tables for the results and conclusions. Cosmetically, I got the A-State and literacy logos on there. A little bit of A-State scarlet to please the eye. So at this point, I'll let feel free to look over the poster. I think it makes a handy pre-read for the longer article. I was fortunate that the bulk of the interview data supporting the study came during the initial interview. The concluding interviews were very terse. The exit interview, I wouldn't say that it revealed any earth-shattering injections into the study, but it still adds at least a layer, right? Much of the article should seem familiar, because it's pretty much the same as the poster until the data analysis, where I'll talk about the honors papers and presentations a little bit more. It's a little bit more background for you. The more specific nature and context of the coursework, it's kind of, I wish I'd been able to put a little bit more of that context into the poster in hindsight. I wish I'd done that, but space was at a premium. The real meaty difference in the article, though, is the degree of semi-structured interview discourse that I share on pages 6 to 8 of the article under three level 3 headings, which further draw out those themes from the literature, which I used as my coding structure for the interviews. If you're a fan of qualitative data, I think you'll find this stretch of the article a great deal more interesting than the poster itself because of the clips of discourse data and how the themes and the trends emerge. All right. Whew. This has been a tremendous course to work with, and you've been an outstanding group to work with. I will certainly keep you posted. In the spring, I'll just mass email the course roster, the former course roster, when it comes time to submit abstracts to the Create at State Forum in case you aren't too busy and you are interested or excited about the possibility of trying to put your poster out there to our forum. In the meantime, please never hesitate to reach out with your emails, with your questions, your concerns. Keep in touch. I'm looking forward to working with you again in future courses. And for some of you, that should be new literacies coming up soon. Besides the additional video this week with thoughts on the action research proposal poster and working with that crazy template, I'll also have the final shout-out video from Section 5 of our action research proposal. Thank you for everything, all your hard work this fall, all the great communication. Wolves up. It's been a pleasure.